What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Sunday, December 22nd, 2024, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now it is 23:21 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from the Middle East and from Europe. I want to start with the Middle East. So we have new information coming out that Iran is now supercharging efforts to obtain nuclear weapons. I warned you guys about this months ago. So the Biden administration is concerned that a weakened Iran could decide to build a nuclear weapon. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan told CNN on Sunday, adding that he was briefing Trump's team on the risk. There is now a real risk that Iran will revise its position that we're not going for a nuke, Sullivan said. It's a risk we are trying to be vigilant about now. It's a risk that I'm personally briefing the incoming team on, Sullivan said, adding that he had also consulted with U.S. ally Israel on the issue. So major breaking news, guys. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan saying that he's been briefing the Trump administration, the incoming Trump administration, on the risk that Iran is going to try to get nuclear weapons very soon. And also an Iranian dissident group responsible for exposing the Natanz uranium enrichment warns that Iran has intensified its secretive development of nuclear detonators. Very interesting. And after the Houthi attack on Tel Aviv, the Israeli media is reporting that most of the senior leaders of the Israeli military establishment recommended launching an attack deep inside of Iran. Also, Mossad chief David Barnea recommended that Israel attack Iran in response to the Houthi attacks on Israel and, quote unquote, go after the head of the snake. Wow. Okay, so Israel is now considering deep strikes on Iran, possibly going after their nuclear facilities. Very serious situation over there. And we know that the Trump administration supports strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. And what you're looking at here is a nuclear war command and control plane that was just off the coast of California. It was communicating with our submerged nuclear-armed submarines. We also have some interesting activity here in the Baltics and in northeast Poland. We have Forte 10, which came up from the Mediterranean and has been doing these interesting flight paths here in Lithuania and in northeast Poland. I've personally never seen this before. Now, just a couple of days ago, I did a live stream with inventor Lee Wheelbarger of KLW World News, and he's done some really detailed research on the Russian buildup in Belarus and in Kaliningrad, and he has recent satellite imagery showing hundreds of S-400 missiles and dozens of S-400 launchers stationed near the border of Poland, just 3 miles from the border of Poland. Also, several of them in Kaliningrad, along with dozens and dozens of missiles. And he's also reporting hundreds and hundreds of unmarked trucks that are stacked up along the border of Poland and Lithuania, in Belarus, and also in Kaliningrad. Basically, a shadow invasion force, okay, a disguised invasion force, okay, hiding in these unmarked semis, okay. But this recon drone here is doing loops just north of the city of Białystok in northeast Poland, right where the S-400s are stationed and also where these unmarked semis are stacked up several miles long. And it was also flying back and forth here in Lithuania, parallel to Kaliningrad and Suwalki Gap. So it's very possible that Putin could decide to launch an invasion into Lithuania and to close the Suwalki Gap to create a land bridge to Kaliningrad. This is extremely unusual, guys. This type of pattern here I have personally never seen, and I have been following this area for probably the last 4 years on a daily basis, checking flights, and you can see now it's curving to the northwest, so this is extremely concerning. And earlier today, a strong explosion was reported in central Israel. Not sure what the cause of that was. And 2 U.S. Navy pilots ejected safely over the Red Sea after their F-18 fighter jet was mistakenly shot down early on Sunday in what U.S. military officials are calling an apparent case of friendly fire. Wow. And before I continue with the breaking news, I wanted to mention the sponsor for this update, which is EMP Shield. Guys, I'm proud to announce that I'm going to be partnering with EMP Shield. They have just given me a special discount code just for my subscribers. If you go to empshield.com and use the code NYPrepper when you check out, you'll get 15% off your entire order. Good for anything on their website. They're also doing a Cyber Monday sale. Guys, the threat of an EMP has never been higher, and you need to protect your vehicle and critical electronics. The EMP Shield is a device that protects your vehicle's computer or electronics by installing in line with the electrical system. The EMP Shield has passed rigorous military testing and is compliant with several military standards. They're also IP66 weatherproof and made in the USA. They can be used to protect your ham radio base stations, your RV, your camper, your solar generator, and various other things in addition to your vehicle. So go to empshield.com, use the discount code NYPrepper to get 15% off, and the link and the discount code are in the description below this video. And Trump and his team are talking about a soft invasion of Mexico once he gets into office, reportedly to deal with the drug cartels. And the Panama president said that every square meter of the Panama Canal and its surroundings belongs to Panama. And he said this in response to Trump threatening to take the Panama Canal back. And Trump has also reiterated his interest in purchasing Greenland from Denmark, citing national security and global freedom as motivations. This follows his previous administration's attempt to buy the island, which was met with firm rejections from both Greenland and Denmark. Trump's latest comments coincide with the nomination of Ken Houthi as the U.S. ambassador to Denmark, indicating possible strategic moves in international relations. And for those of you guys who are not aware, Greenland has the Thule Air Force Base. We have radars up there. We have a very secretive base up in Greenland in Thule Air Force Base. And in the Cold War, we actually tried to build a massive base under the ice, but it didn't work out because the ice shifted and it just wasn't feasible. But Greenland is very important to NORAD and to nuclear war survival for the United States. And Putin threatened Ukraine with more destruction, saying today, quote, "Whoever and however much they try to destroy, they will face many times more destruction themselves and will regret what they are trying to do in our country." And Trump said today that Russian President Vladimir Putin wants to hold a meeting with him as soon as possible. And so here was Trump talking at a conservative conference about the situation in Ukraine. I want you guys to listen very closely to what he says. He said that there are millions of casualties, okay, which is a lot higher than what the mainstream media has been reporting. He's saying millions and millions of casualties. Listen.
President Putin said that he wants to meet with me as soon as possible. So we have to wait for this, but we have to end that war. That war is a horrible, horrible. The soldiers, the number of soldiers being killed, it's a flat plane, and the bullets are going, and there's powerful bullets, powerful guns. And the only thing that's going to stop them is a human body. They go dead flat land. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Millions of soldiers have died now. Millions.
Millions of soldiers have died now. Listen.
Millions of soldiers have died now. Millions of soldiers have died now. Millions.
So very interesting. And here we have video footage of the Prime Minister of Slovakia meeting with Putin today. Very interesting. I want to remind you guys that Slovakia is a member of the European Union and NATO. Very interesting. Apparently, Robert Fico discussed the situation of the natural gas transit through Ukraine. Ukraine said that they're not going to allow Russian natural gas to go through to Europe through their country. So they were talking about that and standardizing mutual relations between their countries. And Ukrainian drones destroyed a massive munitions depot in Novocherkassk in the Rostov region. So another strike in the Rostov region, this time with drones. Last time they used storm shadows. And I want to remind you guys that just a few days ago, Ukraine used ATACMS to hit this massive barracks in the Kursk Oblast, and they killed a bunch of Russian officers. And the first batch of modified B-61 nuclear bombs, the B-61 Mod 13, was manufactured already in the U.S. this year, according to a report by the National Nuclear Security Agency. This is the most powerful version of the B-61, which is deployed in Europe as part of the NATO nuclear weapons sharing program with the U.S. The B-61 Mod 13 has a blast yield of 360 kilotons, and they're also extremely accurate, using a special guidance kit, which makes this normally dumb bomb very, very accurate. It can be delivered by multiple different types of fighter jets, including F-15s, which can carry up to 5 of them, F-16s, which can carry 1 to 2, F-35s, which can carry 1 to 2, and the Eurofighter Typhoon. So the U.S. is obviously preparing for a nuclear exchange with Russia in the European continent by pumping out the production of this new version of the B-61. Okay, we have several hundred of these in Europe. They have been the primary nuclear weapon deployed in Europe since the Cold War, and we just recently started moving them back to the UK. Okay, so a new version of this bomb, the most powerful version, the most accurate version, and we're moving them back to the UK. Obviously a sign that we're concerned about escalation with Russia. And according to an anonymous Mossad agent speaking to 60 Minutes, the Lebanon pager and radio attacks against Hezbollah were planned 10 years in advance. Over 16,000 radios with explosive batteries were originally sold to Hezbollah 10 years ago and not activated until the attacks a few months ago. Wow. And Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's wife filed for divorce and is planning to move to the UK. Wow, interesting. And a woman in a New York City subway car was killed early Sunday after another passenger set her on fire and then watched from a nearby bench in the Brooklyn station as she was burnt alive. Wow, absolutely disgusting, really evil. Okay, and all this evilness happening right before Christmas. Just the other day, there was that guy who drove through a Christmas market in Germany. So lots of evil happening right before Christmas. And a dead Chinese satellite came crashing down over Louisiana last night. The commercial imaging satellite operated by Beijing-based Spaceview re-entered above New Orleans at 10:08 p.m. Central Time, heading northbound towards Mississippi, Arkansas, Missouri, and was widely observed. The satellite has been space junk and dead as a doornail since January 2023. This was an uncontrolled re-entry. Wow. So why are all these Chinese satellites constantly crashing down over the United States? I mean, when are we going to tell China, hey, please don't crash your satellites into our homeland, okay? Please do it somewhere else, okay? This is ridiculous. This is happening like every month. A Chinese satellite is crashing down over the U.S., but that's the latest breaking news that I have. I will be back tomorrow with more breaking news. And if you guys are traveling for the holidays, make sure you drive carefully, drive sober, and I will continue to monitor all these events. We're waiting to see what Russia has planned for Ukraine, in addition to possibly invading the Baltics and the Suwalki Gap. We're waiting to see if Putin is going to launch a massive ICBM strike on Ukraine, possibly nuclear. Okay, just the other day on Friday night, there were movements of Oreshnik missiles at the Kapustin Yar missile test site, which caused Ukraine to go under an air raid alert for like 15 minutes, and then it was lifted. Okay, but Putin definitely has something up his sleeve. Just because he hasn't done anything yet doesn't mean that he's not planning something. All right, but I will be back tomorrow with more breaking news. Check out my 24/7 live stream for live coverage throughout the day. I post updates there throughout the day, and also you can listen to our nuclear forces with the radio systems I have. And until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.